Cohanzick Nature Reserve, where we nurture the health of the people by honoring the wisdom of the land. So we have a short panel session because we're not the focus of this. This is just a welcoming. But we thought that this question that we're going to pose to get the answers is going to help you understand where we are as a people here in the Cohanzick Nature Reserve. I have one panelist that should be pulling in any minute. She has 3 little kids, so she probably had to get them out of school, drop them off with a husband so she could be here with me. But we're going to have 3 different generations, or almost 3 generations, because she and John are in similar generations. We have Chief Mark Quiet Hawk Gould from the Cohanzick Lenape Nation. He's our oldest member, and he has a lot of stories, so we will make sure that he doesn't overtalk. And then we have John Barry. He's from a different generation. He's not from my generation either, so he's in between. And then we have Annalise Cooper, who will be coming in any second. I think they're making her sign in. So they're making her sign in. If we could just grab her really quickly and get her on the stage. So, and then Annalise will give you another aspect of what we do here and how it's so important for our nature reserves and for us to be stewards and for more people to learn how to be stewards of open space. This is Annalise Cooper. So you have mics, make sure you test us for one. Right, from one. Hello? Check. It's not on. I'm old. Okay. So we'll start with the oldest and go down the line. And in the past, indigenous people were able to use the land freely to hunt, gather, farm, and hold ceremonies as a part of daily life. Today, much of that land is either used by industry or locked under strict conservation rules, making it harder and even impossible for us to continue these traditions. The question for the panel is, how has this changed from having open access to the land now being restricted or shut out affected you, your family, and your community? And what do you think needs to happen that indigenous people can reconnect with the land and keep these important traditions alive? So we'll start with Mark.
Well, I want to tell you guys something. My mother was an herbalist for our family. And we got almost everything that we wanted out of the backfield. Blueberries, huckberries, sassafras, everything that we needed for food or for healing came out of the woods or the field in the back of our house. We miss that now because we don't have access to anything. It was a free will spirit because they knew that you weren't going to re-harvest or over-harvest what was there because the neighbors might need it. So it was a share everything, but it's no longer like that. You just can't go out and pick huckleberries or blackberries or see, it kind of got me off base a little bit, I'm sorry. But it's just the fact that the things that we were healed with, the things that we fed ourselves with, the things that were free are no longer free. So, changed my life. Actually, it changed the whole tribe's life because that's how we exist.
You guys can pick up where you feel what's in your heart.
Yeah, so just the same as Uncle just said, it's the same for me. As a kid, I had eczema. My grandmother, my grandfather, he was dandelion salad. Those are things that we learned how to do. How does it affect us today? Today, purposefully, we know how to collect and forage for where our zones are, where our people are, here. But me, personally, as staff arborist here, what we like to introduce for community health is because that's something that we're hearing every time we come. Well, what is this? How can I use it? Tyrese is an herbalist. Annalise with her children, she's an herbalist. It's the same thing. These are things that we're bringing into curriculum that we're teaching here. We had teachers here. When was the teacher? Something like 2 months ago.
First of all,
And these are the things that we spoke about, and the first thing they say is, well, we can't forage on state land, right? So it doesn't hinder us here. We know where to find the things, but when we talk about community health and bringing these remedies that basically people can learn, you can AI the remedy, right? But people want that connection. They want that actual experience of let's get together and let's learn. It's just like how you all have heard your granny talk about canning in the 40s and 50s. There's nothing any different. It's the same thing. We've made that circle and we're coming back to it. So what do we need moving forward? It's a great time because we start this work with ID. As an arborist, that's how we start. We say, well, let's get out and let's talk about what we actually see and what it is. We see these trees in our tradition. The trees, we call them grandfathers because they're witness trees. There's trees around you, there's trees on this property that have seen many different generations, you know, as we come back. But moving forward, we need to talk about community health and how do we, it's the low-hanging fruit. Not everyone's gonna go out and be an herbalist or wanna be an herbalist, but if you just have one in a community, it helps. One in a family, it helps, you know? These are non-invasive alternatives, right? But how do we get that out and how do we broadcast that? It's best now because of social media. But with the ID work, that's what I wanted to bring up. It's easy. There's an AI thing, you can take a picture on PlanetNet and it tells you exactly what that is. I mean, that's phenomenal. You don't have to go through the book like I learned how to do, where it's even now the seasons change, so the plant looks different. But moving forward, how do you move and introduce this into the curriculum, even if it's a non-mandated curriculum or an invisible curriculum or a secret curriculum, right? Meaning like you can talk about it, it's not in a textbook, but we can still talk about it and build one lesson plan around it. You know, we're talking about dandelions. There's 50 different ways to use a dandelion. But we need to talk about policy because you should be able to take, no matter where you are in the state, be able to take a group out and say, okay, let's go ahead and forward for these and let's go back and figure out how to process them and how to use them. Exactly.
It's a question where.
Right.
So, if I can just touch base on the topic a little bit about, all the stories I heard growing up, and even having access to specifically the Cohanzick, river over here. My grandfather, is that where you took me? Fishing? Okay, so we did have access. He took me down to the Cohanzick, and we fished. And the access to it is, correct me if I'm wrong, is there's none, or there's some that it's hard to get to, or there's none?
Some of the traditional accesses were just purchased by State of New Jersey Fish and Wildlife in the past few years, so that the old accesses where my dad, Chief Mark, did since he was a kid, are no longer accessible. They even put a dirt mound so that you can't get back over.
Yes, so I would be able to, pass that down another, generation so that they can pass it down to another generation. So that tradition that we had for, I don't know, however you call it, lots of years, it's gone. That part to me is pretty sad. So.
Yeah, but you don't have to give it up because all you have to do is get to the creek.
Okay.
Go out in the backyard, dig up some earthworms, and you got something.
That's what we'll do. All right. Dinner in the morning?
I didn't want you to eat the worms.
Oh, not the worms! Okay, don't eat the worms. All right, I'll remember that part.
And another part that's the underlying push is to get people back outside and into nature. And that's the innate byproduct of going foraging, right? Because you have to be outside to do it. You can read about it, but you have to experience it. You have to do it. So hopefully, like you said, we can start to push that policy to open these spaces. And I'm right there with Lisa. I know exactly the spot she's talking about. I grabbed as a kid right there.
And to eat that food too.
Exactly.
Maybe much healthier to eat
Mushrooms
local
and
food
mushrooms and everything else.
that we gather here. And specifically, what you can catch in the candy, which I don't know what that is. I think that in the water.
I'm about to say
There you go,
birds,
like
right?
perch, whatever you can get in there, you eat it, and then
Catfish.
you're healthy and you're sustaining life. I can imagine, our ancestors or elders, in the winter, what are we eating berries? We're eating berries now, we can't eat berries, so, it's probably around this time where eating more, sea animals and land animals will be healthier.
That access is what's important.
Yeah, so can we talk about, like, when we have children here, from different schools and different groups, can you talk about some of the experiences that you've seen, the children that have not had access to outdoors and what their reactions
So
were?
the one kid told me that, and her dad said they cannot eat the huckleberries at all. Don't eat those. Because the kid that I'm talking about was very afraid to do it in the first place. It's just a berry. She sees all the other kids eating the berries. And, it was her first time being immersed in it and exposed to our people here. And foraging in general, doesn't even have to be our people, but foraging. But all the other kids who've been here, they walking down, eating every berry that they see, barefoot in the path, and I'm like, do you need to wash this first? And I'm like, I don't know, maybe. No pesticides, yeah, expose it right, wash it, pesticides, mainly. Because I couldn't see my people back in the day washing their berries before they eat them. I mean, you're hungry, eat now, right? Oh, they don't want to leave, no, they don't.
Yeah, they don't want to leave. We've seen, some of the children that
Kicking and screaming.
were labeled as behavioral problems. And when they come here, we didn't see any sign of that. Pleasant, attentive, and when John takes them out on the trail, they're not allowed to have any electronics.
I think we should.
And they don't mind not having the electronics, they don't mind leaving them behind, because it is a virtual reality experience for them. It's totally, and then, to have them ask, what is that sweet smell? And they're just smelling the pine trees, which opens up, their thinking and their imagination and their process to be better.
Oh, the frogs. Every time that the kids are here, we go down to the lake and we catch little tiny frogs. I don't know if they're baby frogs or if they're full-grown mini frogs. I don't know what they are. I guess we'll have to ID them. But the kids all hold the frogs and they're okay with it. No, there's no fear around it. That's like when the kids are around me, I just make sure that I don't the frog, jump scare or something like that. And then I hold it, the kids hold it, and it's an amazing thing. Some kids have never held a frog before. I mean, back in my day, I held frogs, I held anything I saw. Like if I saw, little, I forget what they are, salamander, I'm running, I'm catching it. But you don't see that a lot now, but here they do that. There's lizards everywhere. I don't know, lizards, salamanders, whatever you want to call them. I have to work on IDing little creatures. It sounds like I don't know what I'm talking about, but yeah, they're chasing them everywhere, up trees.
And then with the other thing that I think is funny is because it's the balance. Because we do a digital detox, but at the same time, we understand that these kids are tech savvy. So how do you use that to your advantage? Well, I was gonna say, you guys wanna talk about the bird app, like how many birds?
Oh yeah, the bird app. Oh, it's an amazing app. You guys should download it and maybe sit down and listen to the birds, and it'll tell you exactly what bird it is. It was a rare nice time to just be in the present moment, and just listening, sitting there, listening to the birds.
And they play it back.
Yeah, and then they also.
Because you're listening, and you're like, how's there 12 different birds? You know, and the kids are trying to figure it out, and that's a lesson in itself. So it's about using tech in a good way to introduce. That's something to think about as you guys go back. Those are things that we're leaving here.
And I want to also mention that when they are 18, 17, 18, 21, and they've never experienced outdoors, it's nearly next to impossible to get them to experience outdoors. It's already too late. So we have lost an entire generation. We have lost, and we've seen it firsthand for some of the college students that visit and have never had their shoes off outside to the ground on the moss and lichens. We have lost an entire generation. And if, you know, we're 7th generation people. If we do not turn this around quickly, then no one is going to have sacred symbiosis with the nature. And Mother Nature is going to look at us as parasites. Because it's not going to recognize us because we don't eat the fresh berries. We don't pick the fresh herbs to make the tea. We don't have gardens. We have vegetables that have been sprayed with chemicals from the grocery store. And when nature also can detect who we are. And if nature doesn't recognize us, then we are the one that's going to be extinct. Humans. So we've lost a whole generation.
I was going to say, and they don't make the connection. Like, you just said it, Montclair was a perfect example. It's like you get the lip service, right? They know all the key points, they know the trends, they know the key words to say, but at the same time, they've never walked the path with bare feet. You know, and it's mind-blowing. Because it's like, we're raising the kids to understand these trend words, but they're not experiencing, they're not making the relative connection where it's relevant. You know, it's like if they have a fish in their hand, and then you say, well, let's talk about what's happening to this fish. It's the connection. But you can talk about things all day, and so, I mean, as we all know, I understand I'm preaching the choir. But things to think about as we talk about policy and community health, you have to have the action part of it. You know, they have to understand what that feels like, and then it makes sense.
You know, I'm listening to everybody, but I guess I'm just kind of old. Because my story is completely different. You know, you want to perch, you got your red white rider. I know you guys don't know what a red rider is, because I think they stopped making that wagon a long time ago. And you put the 5-gallon bucket on, and you walk 2 miles to get to the creek, and you go on the way, you go dig earthworms, and you go fishing. Then you bring home supper. I was 8 years old, and I was walking 2 miles to go perch fishing, because perch fishing is what I like. Or the black cherry trees that was in my grandma's field in the back. We would climb the tree and harvest the berries. We wouldn't even go in the house to eat lunch, because that was our lunch. And you know, it was just things that we did that was natural, that weren't taught to us. We just did it. And now, today's world is too, I guess, too proper. I don't even know if it's regulation, because we put all kinds of rules when we come out. We didn't care if we wanted to eat, we found something to eat.
All in the name of survival.
Yeah.
And
But see, we also got our lessons in another way. I got a BB gun for Christmas. So I took my BB gun and went out there and I shot some birds. And my mother was really strict. She says, go out there and get them birds. And when I got back in the house, my mom had plucked the birds, and that was my supper. So I learned the hard way what I should do and what I shouldn't do. That's what we need today. We need more teaching of things that are going to impact you and stay on your mind. Because I know never forget the way I was brought up. And I was laying on my daughters so that they didn't have to go through the same thing that I went through. But that was a lesson that I had never, we don't teach lessons anymore.
I don't think weeding the garden is light. We have to weed the gardens, cut grass, go fishing. We have to go fishing.
Yeah, they asparagus too.
Yeah, I like asparagus.
Yeah, what basically, I wanted to touch on too, in the question that you said in general, they're taking away our ability to be natural providers and survivors, basically. Things artificial.
Exactly, and it needs to be, when people talk about being land stewards, that needs to be part of it. It needs to be incorporated into it, because it's not, if you're a land steward, it's not just about taking care of the trees, it's about taking care of the community.
It's open enough for your land.
Exactly, in that
Allowing people
in
in,
that whole environment.
teaching each other.
Exactly.
Yep, and in New Jersey, we went from exploitation of millions of acres and clearing. New Jersey at one time was almost 100% forest. And when Europeans came, they cut down most of the forest, and then we had a lot of exploitation and mining and so forth. To now, from the 1980s now to the other half being conservation. And there's very little acreage left that belongs to private people, and there's rules on both sides. So what happens to the people that live on with nature on that pendulum swing between exploitation and conservation, or the collateral damage in the middle? We have to find creative ways. You know, we only own 63 acres in the center, but I'm very grateful for that, in the center of thousands of acres of Bridgeton Hill forest, where we know no one touches the land. No one's stewarding this land around us. And that is a problem, because now you have wood on the forest floor that's timber wood, ready for a fire. But no one's picking up that wood and using it for a fire. And all the state forest. So we're hoping to be a model for other programs, other indigenous cultures, other people, doesn't matter, other communities, so that we can all be stewards of this vacant land that we have preserved and conserved with this hands-off, don't touch attitude to live one with nature.
Well, this is don't touch on the
And that is what's happening. You have people with their four-wheelers and electronic vehicles or their gas-powered vehicles, and you have illegal dumping. You have a lot of things that are not being addressed. And this land is no one's there. It's not being used. So exploitation and conservation are the same pendulum swing. It's the same animal. It's one extreme to the other. But we're the bird in the middle. We're the bird on each one of these things. And we hope that we're going to pass this mention, but we got to do it through the children. We have to teach the children, because once they reach a certain age, they're already setting their ways. So that's it for us and our session. I don't know if anybody has any questions, but we're